We'd like to invite you to join us on the Sabbath Day Live via the internet. Log onto our website, which is www.theisraelofgod.com. Click on the link Sabbath Day Live on our homepage. You will need Windows Media Player to view our program. We stream live twice every Sabbath at 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Central Time. If you enjoy our program, we would appreciate your donations to help defer the cost of continuing this work. Send donations to the Israel of God, 2515 East 75th Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60649. Also, if you're in the Chicago area, please feel free to join us at our study class located at 2515 East 75th Street here in Chicago.
I've been looking, searching, trying to find the right way to walk. Stay beside me, God. Try me, I wanna walk in your light. I've been looking, searching, trying to find the right way to walk. The Lord is my light, my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. And whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemy, my faith and trust I put all in thee. Believe you got the world in your hand. You bless me, Lord, I know I can stand. Show me the way, Lord. I will be faithful, for I am desolate and afflicted. Lord, show me the way.
People that are watching us live on internet, good afternoon. And as always, it is good to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. You know, sisters and brothers, this is every year, this is an annual thing for us. We do Black History because they give us a Black History Month. I don't particularly like the term Black History, but being that it was designated by someone else, I said we're going to put some real Black history on the table.
That's right.
You see, the problem is, sisters and brothers, we have always allowed ourselves to be defined by somebody else. And the word history, when you really pay attention to it, is like his story. Nobody have told our story. So when we talk Black history, we're talking about, Harriet Tubman and the guy that made peanut butter out of peanuts. Shortly put, sisters and brothers, the history we have had defined to us as slave history, history of servitude, history of lowliness, and history of being a joke by everybody. But our history is much bigger than that, sisters and brothers, because we're going to show you that your history is in the pages of this Bible that's in your lap. This is your history. Being that we have a problem here, you know, when a people are lost, everybody looks for them. But when a people is lost and somebody else says, I am that people, nobody looks for them.
That's right.
And the problem here is that we have a people that's saying that they are us. But if you understood the whole scenario, you pay attention that all of these people that say they are us, every one of them are Jews. But Jacob had 12 sons. The word Jew comes from the word Judah, and it did not come in existence until the time when Solomon died and the Lord split the nation because of Solomon's antics. Then the word Jew came on the scene. But when you come to the point of a nation, it is Israel. So being that you have a people that call themselves Jews, which is supposed to be speaking for all of the nation of Israel, being that they are white, then you get a guy like me get up and say, I'm an Israelite, you laugh me to scorn. So sometimes, sisters and brothers, when you don't have your record intact because you have been taken into captivity and have been slaved all over the world, and you want to know who you are, sometimes you have to compare yourself to other people to find out what color Israel, or for the sake of a lack of understanding, Jews are. So we are going to investigate this. We're going to start it in Genesis, the 10th chapter, because in the 10th chapter of Genesis is when the Lord had brought Noah and his sons over on the flood. And we're going to learn a lot of things on our way to learning stuff, sisters and brothers. Because you see a lot of terminology that people use. This terminology don't fit. And when you talk about people, if you don't know what the original definition of a certain people are, then you don't know who they are or what they are. We're going to start in Genesis 10th chapter, 10 and 1. Go ahead.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood.
Now these are the guys that populated the whole earth, sisters and brothers. That's why when we deal with Israel, sisters and brothers, we deal with it for definition, but we understand here at the Israel of God that everybody on this planet are the children of two people, Adam and Eve, and make it closer, Noah and his wife. Everybody else that didn't come out of there don't exist. Y'all understand? But we teach these things because it need to be taught, because people need to know about people. So out of these were all of the earth populated, and we're going to find out who some of these people are nowadays. Go ahead and read.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus.
Go ahead.
And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Rephath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elishah, and Tarshish, and Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families in their nations.
Now, here is something that clears up a flaw that's been taught. You've heard the word that if you're not a Jew, you're a Gentile. Have you heard that? And then some people turn around, the holy people say a Gentile is a non-believer. Both of them are wrong. Gentiles are the children of Japhet, sisters and brothers. Who are the Japhethites? Are the Gentiles? What we commonly call white people. All that simple. All you got to do is get all these names, and you find out all of the people that came out of there. White people are what we call Europeans. Have nothing to do with Jew, have nothing to do with belief or non-belief. If you, like when I hear blacks say, well, I'm a Gentile, I just look, I said, boy, he is woefully uninformed. You might be Shem,
That's right.
You might be Ham, but you cannot be a Gentile unless something happened way up in your tree. So now, these are the children of, Gentile are the children of Japhet, sisters and brothers. Those are what we call white people or Europeans. Go ahead and read.
Verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim,
Go ahead.
and Phut and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba and Havilah, and Saptah, and Reamah, and Saptachah. And the sons of Reamah, Sheba and Dedan.
See, all of these are Ham's children. These are the people that are called African. Go ahead and read.
And Cush begot Nimrod.
Now, who is Cush? Cush is the father of the Ethiopians, sisters and brothers. When the Greeks looked upon the Ethiopians, they said, these people have burnt face. Look up the word Cush, and you will see burnt face. In other words, they said, well, hey, these people look like they've been cooked on an oven or something. That's Cush. Go ahead and read.
And Cush begot Nimrod.
Now, you seen the movie with Nimrod, didn't you? I don't know if they still show up, but the old about Nimrod got this powerful white guy. He was a powerful black guy. He was a Cushite, which became the Ethiopian, because the word, when they look up on the birthplace, in Greek is Ethiop, from which the word Ethiopia came. The name defines the people. And this is what the whole world don't know. Go ahead and read.
He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
Now, what verse was that?
That was verse 8.
Skip down to verse 11 and go ahead.
Out of that land went forth Asher and builded Nineveh.
Now, we just learned something else. You didn't heard of the famous city Nineveh, have you? The Assyrians, Cushites, black folks, not white folks. See, but we have had everybody define to us what everybody looked like. But if you go to the Bible, it'll tell you. If they come out of the land, they come out of Cush, and Cush is Ham's oldest son, then what does the Ninevites look like? They're black folks. See, but when we teach these kind of things, people try to throw races in the on the table. Look, I said, look, why is you going to call me a racist because I say I'm an Israelite and Israelite are black, when you can let the Italians say, I'm an Italian, he ain't racist. German, he ain't racist. Polish, he's not racist. Well, then how do I have to be racist because I define who I am? That got nothing to do with race. It is matters of fact. If a man jump off a 20-story building, he is going to die when he hit the ground. That's not being biased. That is stating a fact.
That's right.
And that's what we deal with, facts, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
And out of that land went forth Asher and builded Nineveh and the city of Rehoboth and Calah. And Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, the same as a great city. Now,
we learn that out of that land came Nineveh. What verse was that?
That was verse 12.
Go ahead and read.
And Mizraim begot Ludim.
Now here Mizraim begot Ludim. Who was Mizraim? That's his Ham's second oldest son. When they look up on the second oldest son, they say, hey, this people is black. What is the Greek word for black? Simply Egypt. The name defined the people. So now, all of a sudden, Egypt don't mean nothing to nobody. You know why? Because you see a people over in the land that call themselves Egyptian, and nobody ever noticed the fact that the people that call themselves Egyptian don't fit the artifacts. How is it this is a city of rabbits, but every time I go in there, I see cats? Sooner or later, somebody is going to make the connection. Say, wait a minute. Something here don't fit. Think about it. What verse are we?
We're at the beginning of 13.
Go ahead.
And Mizraim begot Ludim, and Anamim, and Leabim, and Naphtuhim, and Pathusim, and Casalim, out of whom came Philistim, and Captorim.
Now, you seen the Philistines, right? You seen it move with David and Goliath? David was an Israelite, and Goliath was a Philistine. When you saw it on the movie, you saw a little old bitty white guy facing a great big white guy, don't you? Totally opposite. Little old bitty black guy facing a great big black guy. And I'm talking about, it is right here. All you have to do is run the lineage, sisters and brothers. And then you might find out why so much stuff come down on you. But go ahead and read what verse?
Verse 15. And Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, in Heth.
Now, skip down to verse 20. Let's see whose children these are. Because we're not going to run all of these down. Go ahead and read.
These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations.
So all these people are the sons of Ham. Egyptians are the sons of Ham. You got, I could have named them all. You know, the Ethiopians are the son of Ham. Then you have what you call Libya, which is Put, son of Ham. And then you have Canaan, which are the sons of Ham, whose land the Lord gave to Israel.
That's right.
Canaanites. All come out of Ham. All black. So now, we're going to put Israel up against the people in the Bible and see if we can come up with who Israel looked like. Now let's go into Genesis, the 37th chapter. So that's all you have to do is find out. Find out what a people look like that you look at the color of a person that you know, and then get the so-called lost people and start setting them up next to everybody and see who they look like. That's what we're doing. We're setting them up next to everybody. Set them next to the Gentile. Don't look like that. Got 3 sons here, sisters and brothers. We're going to make us some comparison. We're going to start with Jacob. Genesis 37 and verse 1. Go ahead.
And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report.
So now Jacob had 4 wives, sisters and brothers, and had children by all these women. But Joseph, one of his youngest sons, second to his youngest son, always snitched on the other brothers. They didn't like this guy. And then the Lord even made it worse by letting Jacob favor him over the rest of them. Go ahead and read.
3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was a son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors.
Go ahead.
And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him.
So now, this is a situation where you got one younger brother and all the older brothers hated him. They couldn't even carry on a good conversation with him. Joseph even made it worse. He would dream dreams. And one of the dreams was saying that they was going to bow down to him. They hated him even the more. But then finally, these guys were sent out to take care of the flock. And Jacob told Joseph to go check on them. Let's skip down to verse 12. Verse 12 and go ahead.
And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I.
Now he said, I'm going to send you to him. He didn't know that he won't see his son no more after that for a long time. So he sent him, and as he's going, they saw him coming. Skip down to verse 18. Verse 18 and go ahead.
And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near to them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said,
and when they saw him coming, they said, hey, we're going to kill him. Here come this dreamer, his own flesh and blood brothers. Because even though you can have different mothers, sisters, and brothers, you are still full brothers and sisters. This is what the world don't understand. Ain't no such thing as a half sister or a half brother. You are all of whatever your daddy is. So now I said, we're going to kill this dreamer. Skip down to verse 21. Verse 21, and go ahead.
And Reuben heard it.
Now this is the oldest son. He heard him. Go ahead and read.
And he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands to deliver him to his father again.
So he said, throw him in the pit. You know, ain't no water, bread. He'll starve to death. But he had in his mind, soon as he can get the opportunity, he's going to get him out of that pit and take him back to Jacob, whose name was also Israel, and said, look, don't send this boy out here no more. Because his brothers want to kill him. But while they was waiting, here come some heirs. Now let's see what happened when they came along. What verse was that?
That was verse 22.
Skip down to verse 26. Verse 26 and go ahead.
And Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood?
Go ahead.
Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content.
So now they said, look, what prophet is going to kill him? Let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. Who are the Ishmaelites, sisters and brothers? The heirs. They the first one that bought you from your own brothers. And brothers always want to deal with the heirs, my brother. Boy, it is scary what ignorance can have you doing, sisters and brothers. So what they did, they brought him out of the pit, and they sold him to the Ishmaelites, which was Midian citizens. Go ahead and read.
Then there passed by Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver.
Go ahead.
And they brought Joseph into Egypt.
And they took him down into Egypt. Now skip down to verse 36. Verse 36 and go ahead.
And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard.
So now when they got him down there, they sold him to an Egyptian captain. So now the Lord was with Joseph, sisters and brothers. And let's show you what happened. Let's go into Genesis, the 39th chapter. Genesis chapter 39. Verse 1. Go ahead.
And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither.
Now, so the Egyptian bought him from the Arabs, sisters and brothers. You got two people nowadays are still here. But when it come to you, he was bought and sold. So he bought it. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man. And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian.
So now, the Lord blessed Joseph. All of a sudden, this guy's house started to prosper. Looked like everything. All of a sudden, this man went from rag to riches because the Lord was blessing Joseph's hand. See, that's why we can't read all of this, so I'd have you here 2 days. That's why I'm doing like Paul said, I'm rightfully dividing the scripture so we will be able to get through this and let it make some sense to you. So now, let's skip right on down to verse 7. Verse 7 and go ahead.
And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph. And she said, lie with me.
Ain't that something? The man come in, all of a sudden this man prospers, his household prosper, but also his wife wanted a piece of Joseph too. What did he say? Go ahead and read.
But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what it is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has to my hand.
He said, look, no, I ain't going to do that. Your master really trusts me. He put all his business in my hand. But the woman was persistent. Skip down to verse 12. Verse 12, and go ahead.
And she caught him by his garment. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
What was that, verse 8?
Verse 10.
Verse 10, I'm sorry, verse 10, go ahead.
And it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, or to be with her.
Look, I mean, this woman was on him every day. But Joseph, being a man of God, he understands adultery, sisters and brothers. God looked very narrow upon committing adultery. So no matter how she did it, he said no. You know, some of the mindset of brothers nowadays, I got a convenient thing here, you know. Master never miss it. I'm in the house every day. Even if he come in the bedroom, find me. I'm in serving. I'm cleaning the bed. But Joseph knew that the Lord was watching. No matter how she persisted, he knew that the Lord was watching. So after a while, she was going to force him. Now skip to 12 and go ahead.
And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out.
Ain't that something? This man running to keep from committing adultery. But he left his clothes in her hand, a gown or whatever he was wearing. She had it. So then, I guess the carriage kicked in on her. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, see, he has brought in a Hebrew unto us to mark us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out.
How many times that didn't happen to brothers? You understand? Whole lot during slavery time. So you see, it started with people, I'm going to show you, that look like you. This ain't nothing new. Like Solomon said, ain't nothing new under the sun. Go ahead and read.
And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying,
Go ahead.
The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison.
Now, this guy done got sold by his brothers. He done served an Egyptian master faithfully. Now he got accused by his wife because he would not lay with her, and now the man done put him in prison. Total victim. But in the meantime, the Lord was with Joseph when he went into the prison. He blessed him. Joseph ended up being trustee, and in fact, he was running the prison from that time. And you had two guys in there that had got in trouble with the Pharaoh Egyptian, the Egyptian Pharaoh, the baker, and the butler. He got mad and threw them in the jail too. So now both of them had a dream. Joseph come through and asked him, why y'all looking so sad? Well, because we had a dream. We don't know the interpretation of it. He said, tell it to me. The one told him his dream. He said, you're going to be restored to your office. The other got all happy and told him to his dream. He said, you're going to be hung. So the one that restored, when he got out, was released. Joseph asked him, when you go before Pharaoh, remember me. Because he was before him all the time. But the guy forgot it. Then Pharaoh had a dream, sisters and brothers. Let's go into Genesis, the 41st chapter. Genesis chapter 41. And we're going to start at verse 1. It's convenient how people remember you when it's good for them. Verse 1, go ahead.
And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river.
That captain forgot Joseph forever. 2 full years. He ain't mentioned him one time, and he's in front of the Pharaoh all the time, putting his cup in front of him. Go ahead and read.
And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in the meadow.
Go ahead.
And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river.
So now he saw 7 fat cows come up out of the river. Flush, everything on them, perfect. Then he saw 7 sickly and starved cows come up out of the river too, and stood by them. And what happened? Go ahead and read.
And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kind did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kind. So Pharaoh awoke.
So now Pharaoh woke up because the ill and sick one ate up the healthy ones and didn't get no better. Then Pharaoh went back to sleep, and he saw another thing. He saw some corn. Robust corn, nice and plush and healthy. Then he saw some sick corn come up, and the sick corn ate up the good corn, and still it didn't improve. So Pharaoh woke up because the Lord was trying to tell him something. What did he do? Like everybody else do, they called in their experts. Skip down to verse 8. Verse 8 and go ahead.
And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled. And he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof, and Pharaoh told them his dream. But there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh.
It is strange, sisters and brothers, how the world think, when the world think, or how the world think that certain people have all the knowledge, and the one that really have it, they don't even pay no attention to. So he called all of his top people in there, and they couldn't interpret it. Go ahead and read.
9. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day.
Ain't that something? Yeah, this day was 2 years later. Now he remembers his faults. Go ahead and read.
Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, I and he. We dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, a Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dream. To each man according to his dream he did interpret.
He said we had a dream, and each one of them he told us our dream. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored into mine office, and him he hanged.
That's what he told them. You're going to be restored, and you're going to be hanged. And what happened? Happened just like he said it. Go ahead and read.
Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh.
Go ahead.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it.
So he asked him that question, and Joseph answered it with humility. Go ahead and read.
And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace.
And that's what people don't understand. Even when you go before preachers, you're looking for him to tell you what he think God thinks, instead of having him do what we're doing here and read this book. Because the answer comes from the Lord, sister and brother. People tell me, brother, you got a lot of wisdom. I said, no, I read a lot. And when you read the way I read, you'll be where I am. Everybody want to be special.
That's right.
He said, no, the Lord is the one going to answer you, mister. The Lord is going to answer you. Skip down to verse 29. Verse 29 and go ahead.
Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty.
So he started to break it down to him. He said, look, there are going to be 7 years of great plenty. Go ahead.
Throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine.
Go ahead.
And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt. And the famine shall consume the land.
He said, so look, them fat cows of that good corn represent 7 good years of plenty. I mean, the Lord going to bless Egypt, and Egypt going to have a bumper crop of everything. But then, after that 7 years is over with, he's going to bring a famine on the land. And everything that you had is going to be consumed, and the land is going to be destroyed. So he decided he would give Pharaoh some good advice. Skip down to verse 34, and go ahead.
Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years.
Go ahead.
And let them gather all the food of those good years that come.
Go ahead.
And lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities.
And the substance, now look, while you got all this good fortune and all these bumper crops, don't just eat and go home. What you do is you store food every year. Go ahead and read.
And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine.
He said, now, you're going to store it up, and so once it get bad, now you got somewhere to go. It's just like making money. You're making all kind of money. A wise person is going to put some in the bank.
That's right.
But you get a foolish person, oh, man, my ship done come in now. I ain't got to worry about it. I ain't worried about serving no money. As soon as you spend your last dollar, you in trouble. Tell you a little story. Used to be in the heating and cooling business. Me and my ex-partner, Johnny Marshall. He's a member here. I remember we sold everything. We sold air conditioners to everybody that could buy it. Then we got the land back and talking about where we're going to take some of this money. We're going to set up us some currency laundromats. Winter came, we couldn't even pay nobody to give us a job. We used up all the money to eat. But at least we had some. You understand what I'm saying? So he said, look, put it up so you can weather these bad years. What was that?
That was verse 36.
Skip down to verse 39 and go ahead.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as God has showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art.
Ain't that something? He said, so God has showed you. I can't think of a better person than you are. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt be over my house.
Thou shalt be over my house.
And according to thy word shall all my people be ruled.
Boy, this is something, ain't it, for a guy that was sold. He said, according to thy word shall all of my people be ruled. Go ahead and read.
Only in the throne will I be greater than thou.
He said, and that's the only time I'm going to be greater, is the throne. I'm still a king. So skip down to verse 45. Verse 45 and go ahead.
And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath-Paaneah.
Ain't that something? I look up that name, Zaphnath-Paaneah. You know what it means? Prince of the life of this age. Name meant something. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. The Lord is using Joseph, and this Pharaoh saw what was going on. So this guy here is going to save everybody's life.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave him a name to fit his job. Prince of the life of this age. Go ahead and read.
And he gave him the wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt.
Now what he did, he gave him an Egyptian wife, sisters and brothers. So now that tells us that Joseph's wife was an Egyptian. We're going to come right back here, because I want to show you where the rest of the sons of Jacob got their wives from. Let's just back up to Genesis the 38th chapter. We're coming right back here. Genesis chapter 38. Nobody pays these things no attention because it's not their history. But I paid some attention because it is my history. I'm getting tired of hearing his story. I want somebody to hear mine. Genesis 38 and verse 1. 38 and 1. Go ahead.
And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned in to a certain Adulamite whose name was Hira.
Now this guy is whose name the word Jew come from. He had 12 sons, and this son, his name was Judah. So he went out to this guy's house that he knew. Go ahead and read.
And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite.
And he saw the daughter of a certain Canaanite. Who are the Canaanites? Ham's 4 sons, sisters and brothers. Black folks. Go ahead and read.
Whose name was Shua. And he took her and went in unto her.
So he went in unto her. That means he made her the wife. And she, go ahead and read.
And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name
So she bare a son, and let's see what he did for the son. Skip down to verse 6. Go ahead.
And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar.
So now he took a wife for Tamar. But the Lord didn't like his firstborn, and the Lord killed him. So it was a tradition in Israel, if your brother had a wife, and she died, and he died without having any children by her, you had to marry her. So his brother took her, and he laid with her, but when it's time to make baby, he pulled back and put it on the dirt. God killed him too, because there was an evil act. If you didn't want to have a child for your brother, then you shouldn't have laid with his wife. It's all that simple. But in the meantime, Judah told the woman, wait, when my other son grow up, you can have her. But the woman saw that his son had got grown, and he didn't act. So what'd she do? She went out and played the harlot. Judah, a straight-up Israelite, saw the woman, and he made her an offer. And she said, yeah, okay, but you got to give me your ring and your signet. Your signet and your staff. You know, okay, whatever. He said, because I'll give you a sheep. Well, give me this first to hold until you send me the sheep. What happened was, when he left, she left. His friend come back with the sheep, she wasn't there. Okay, in the process of time, the woman had got pregnant by her father-in-law. And they told Judah, said, Tamar and played the harlot. He said, bring her out and burn her. Then she said, the father of these babies was the one that I got the staff and the sigma from. Judah, she been more righteous than me. All of a sudden, he didn't kill her now.
Right.
In other words, sisters and brothers, she had twins by Judah. That's how the tribe of Judah came about. Out of who? Canaanite women. Y'all understand? Black women. I'm just letting you know where you get your wives, where we got our wives from. Now let's go back. I told you the whole 41st chapter of Genesis. And let's start at verse 46. Because now Joseph, with his Egyptian wife, and he'd been appointed ruler, head of all Egypt. Now he's finna go out and start to do what he was appointed. Verse 46. Verse 46. Okay, go ahead.
And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt.
Now look, the guy was 17 years old when his brother sold him. Now he's 30 years old. He have gotten grown and fully developed, so he went out over all the land of Egypt. Go ahead and read.
Excuse me. And in the 7 plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered all up. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities.
Go ahead.
The food of the field which was round about every city laid he up in the same.
So now Joseph gathered food all over Egypt. In every city, he put storage houses up. But in the meantime, this famine wasn't just in the land of Egypt, it was in the whole region. Skip down to verse 53. Verse 53 and go ahead.
And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended. And the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all the lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread.
Now, so all the land had problems, all over, but there was bread in the land of Egypt. Now, let's see what happened to our forefather, Jacob. Let's go on the 42nd chapter of Genesis, 42. Genesis 42 and verse 1. Go ahead and read.
Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, why do you look one upon another? And he said, behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die.
See, the famine was in the land of Canaan and all over. And the only place that had food was Egypt. And that is because of Joseph, because the Lord had put it in Joseph's mind how to preserve life. He said, now, I heard that there's corn in Egypt. Why don't y'all get on, just stop looking at one another. Get on down to Egypt and buy some corn, lest we all die here. So what did his sons do? They listened to their father. Go ahead and read.
And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt.
So they went out to buy corn. Skip down to verse 7. Joseph saw them. Verse 7. Go ahead.
And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, whence come ye? And they said, from the land of Canaan to buy food.
Now, he knew them, but they didn't know him. And I can see why they didn't know him. First thing is, they thought he was the Egyptian. Second thing is, he was a 17-year-old boy when he left. Now he's at least, let me see, 30 plus 4, at least 30 probably, 37, 38, or 39 years old at this time. He didn't fully develop, but he knew them. Because they were grown when he left, but he was a boy when they sold him.
That's right.
Go ahead and read.
And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them.
Go ahead.
And said unto them, ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said unto him, nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come.
Ain't that something? His own brothers. If Israel and Egypt was a different color, they'd be saying, why is this Israelite ragging on his brothers for these Egyptians?
That's right.
But they thought he was an Egyptian. And they called him Lord. Nay, my Lord. We good people. Go ahead and read.
11. We are all one man's sons. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. And he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come.
He said, no, y'all come down here to see the wickedness of the land. That's why you're here. You ain't got no other reason. Then they started to talk among themselves. You know how it is when you're in trouble, how you can remember all the wrong you've done? They thought back. Skip down to verse 21, and go ahead.
And they said one to another, We are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us.
He said, look, this is why we're in trouble right now, because what we did to our little brother. Go ahead and read.
And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child?
At least Joseph now, he's saying who was on his side, don't he? He said, did I tell you not to do this? Go ahead and read.
And you would not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required.
Go ahead.
And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter.
He played it out, sisters and brothers.
He sure did.
They talking about what they done did to him and who did what, and he didn't understand every word. Because Hebrew and Egyptian language was two different languages, and he used an interpreter. So finally, Joseph played it out. He put him through some changes. He caused him to sweat. I guess he had to get a little pound of flesh off of him. And once he got through playing with him and sweating him, he revealed himself. Skip down to verse 45, chapter 45. Let's go to chapter 45, Genesis 45. But he really, on your own, you can go read this. I mean, he put him through some paces, sister and brother.
Did.
You know, I guess I would have did a little something to him, too. You done sold me, you my brother. And I done found out, too, that some of y'all wanted to kill me. I got to do something to you. But after he did a little bit to him, then he come forward. Verse 1, 45 and 1. Go ahead.
Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried.
Go ahead.
Cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren.
See, now he told all his Egyptian servants, get out of the room. I don't want none of y'all. I don't want y'all to see me crying. Then he told them, look here, I'm your brother. Go ahead and read.
And he wept aloud. And the Egyptians of the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence.
I'd have been troubled too. Oh, no. This cat is the king of Israel, really. Even de facto. King of Egypt, brother.
That's right.
He run everything. He can kill anybody he want to kill. And we done sold the cat. We done tried to kill it. I'd have been troubled too.
I would too.
But then he explained it to him. Go ahead and read.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt.
That had to come down painful, didn't it? Go ahead and read.
Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life.
He said, so all this that happened to you, it was from God. He sent me here to preserve life. Yes, sir. I know they had to have a sigh of relief there.
That's right.
But you know, there's one thing I have to say come in my mind. When Joseph was made king over Israel, I wonder what happened to this captain and his wife. Anyway, that's food for thought. Maybe I'm a little bit vindictive.
I hear you.
But he said, I was sent here to save life.
That's
Skip down to verse 9. I just had to interject that. Verse 9, go ahead.
Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith thy son Joseph, God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. He
said, now I want you to tell the father, the Lord has made me the king, the Lord of all Egypt. So come down to me. So after some convincing, Jacob did it. Skip down to verse 28. But it took a little convincing. Verse 28. Go ahead and read.
And Israel said, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is yet alive.
Go ahead.
I will go and see him before I die.
Go ahead. He said, now my son is alive. I'm going to go and see him before I die. So now, this is in Egypt, sisters and brothers. Now, you see these pictures here that we have. You know, they got me all this fancy stuff. I got me a laser pointer. Can y'all put Tutankhamun up on the board? And I'm going to see if I can use this fancy stuff. We got all this fancy equipment. Now, this is y'all done heard of King Tut, right? Egyptian. Can you put him on the board? Maybe they ain't ready for that. I should have told them about 2 weeks ago, and they'd have been ready. But all of these pictures here, what we're talking about, we got Tutankhamun, then we have the throne room. I'm pointing at him, but the camera ain't pointing at him. I'm going to look upside the wall, and I'm going to give, oh, you go. All right. Now, you see this guy here? That's what you hear, King Tut. What does he look like? Okay. Now, show me his grandmama, Queen Ty. I'm going to wait. They're trying. It's real close. Okay. There you are. Now, this is Tutankhamun's grandmama. What's she, Queen Ty? What she look like? Any one of you sisters could fit that, don't you? And the last one is the throne room of King Tut and his wife, sisters and brothers. The last one. Put it up. I'm going to wait. Everybody's trying to learn how to navigate this new stuff. The whole house is new. Now, do that look like the Egyptians nowadays? So now, this is what Joseph, what Joseph looked like to his brothers. But now, while Joseph then was down now, Jacob died in the land, sisters and brothers. He lived there so long and then he died. Then Jacob had already made Joseph swear not to leave him in the land of Egypt. I want you to take me back to the land of Canaan and bury me. And that's what they did. Let's go in the 50th chapter of Genesis. And we're going to start at verse 5. Genesis 50 and 5. See, all of this stuff, sisters and brothers, nobody ever read this, took you into this kind of stuff in your Bible. Same Bible you've been had all your life, in the church that you have attended all of your life. But it wasn't important to you, to them, because the one that taught them, it wasn't important to their teachers. You understand? And whether we want to know it or not, we was taught by the Gentiles. All that simple. You hang these 4 or 5 series, and we're going to put some fat on your head, as you used to say in the South when I was growing up. Because it's all about knowledge. 50 and verse 5. Now they're getting ready to bury. Joseph wanted permission to bury his daddy. Go ahead and read.
My father made me swear, saying, lo, I die. In my grave, which I have digged for me in the land of Canaan, there shalt thou bury me.
Go ahead.
Now therefore let me go up, I pray thee, and bury my father, and I will come again.
Go ahead.
And Pharaoh said, go up and bury thy father, according as he has made thee swear.
So who went with him? Go ahead.
And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh.
All the servants of Pharaoh, all these Egyptians, the whole entourage are Egyptians. Go ahead and read.
The elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, and all the house of Joseph and his brethren, and his father's house.
That mean all of them went up together. Joseph and all the house of Egyptians, the elders of Egyptians, because Joseph was a great man. All of them went up to the land of Canaan. Go ahead and read.
Only their little ones and their flocks and their herds they left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen. And it was a very great company. And they came to the threshing floor of Atad,
Go ahead.
which is beyond Jordan. And there they mourned with a great and very sore lamentation. And he made a mourning for his father 7 days.
So it was a great big mourning they made. Go ahead and read.
And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, this is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians.
This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. They didn't say the Egyptians and the Israelites. They just said the Egyptians. Go ahead and read.
Wherefore the name of it was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond Jordan.
So that name defines again, Abel Mizraim, meaning mourning of the Egyptians, because Egypt is Mizraim. And the name Egypt was given by the Greeks, which means black. But all they saw was Israelites in their mind. They didn't see no Israelites and no Hebrews.
That's right.
But then Joseph went down into Egypt. He had 70 souls that come out of his loins. And let's see what happened in that time. Let's go into Exodus, the 1st chapter. So right now, you could not, even the Canaanites could not tell the difference between an Egyptian and an Israelite, Hebrew Israelite. Then Joseph's own brothers couldn't even tell that he was not an Egyptian. That's pretty close, ain't it?
That's right.
But people ain't paying no attention because this is not important to you. Well, it's not important to me. You set this series out, you're going to find out this is extremely important. It's important for your children. Somebody always telling you, you somebody. Sooner or later, somebody should ask the question, who? Exodus 1, verse 1. Go ahead and read.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah; Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin;
Go ahead.
Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob was 70 souls. But Joseph was in Egypt already.
So now it's a 70 souls. That means they come out of Jacob. There was Jacob's seed. There was 70 of them. Joseph was already down there, because when he went down there with his entourage. Go ahead and read.
And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation.
Go ahead.
And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them.
That's one thing we can do is have babies, sister and brother. I ain't lying. I jumped up. There used to be a lot of babies in here. Now I see the babies with babies.
That's right.
I mean, we can have babies like 90 going north. All of a sudden, we was increasing all over Egypt. And they looking, and the Egyptians looking at all these babies popping up all over the place. Go ahead and read.
Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
Go ahead.
And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
Ain't that something? You went out, it was 70 people that came out of his loins. You know, it's the other 10 brothers that was grown, they had their wives. But you're talking about 70 plus 10 or 15 people came, and all of a sudden they are mightier and more than the Egyptians. That means they was having some babies. Go ahead and read.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
Go ahead.
Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses.
Now you just find out who built them pyramids, don't you? Your ancestors. Go ahead and read.
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
Do not afflict Israel and take everything from him. If you do, you better take his woman too. Because if you don't, that's all he got. Then he's going to make full use of her. And babies come from everywhere. Now, they was really, really desperate because them Egyptians were scared of Israel. And they tried another tactic. This is the first form of birth control, but I take it the first assault trying to terminate a people. Skip down to verse 15. Verse 15 and go ahead.
And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah.
Go ahead.
And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Look, sisters and brothers, do you realize what this Egyptian king tried to do? He tried to exterminate a whole nation. Because if you kill the male carried the seed. If the Egyptian lay with them girls that he saved, the baby that's going to be born was an Egyptian. Jacob had one daughter and 12 sons.
That's right.
His son, most of them, they got their wives from among the seed of Ham. But the women is the ground and the man carried the seed. Therefore, everyone that was born was Israelites. You got these people that call themselves us running around talking about you're a Jew if your grandmother's a Jew. If that's the case, then there is no Israelite in existence.
That's right.
Because there ain't no record of Jacob's one daughter having a child. You understand what I'm saying? So this Egyptian king looked just like us. I got brothers mad at white folks. Look here, they never tried to exterminate a whole nation, brother. But you're running around talking about Egyptology.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Comet this. They tried to exterminate you, mister.
That's right.
But what happened? Go ahead and read.
Verse 17. But the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men, children alive.
So they wouldn't do that. Therefore, the midwives saved the nation. So Pharaoh said, look here, I'm going to do it myself. Skip down to verse 22. Verse 22 and read it.
And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive.
Look, sisters and brothers, all the time that was down there, if you had a child, you had to hide that child. But all of these children was produced between an Israelite male and an Egyptian female. When that 70 souls went out in Egypt, you know what it was? 53 of them was unmarried Hebrew Israelite males. 53. Where do you think they got their wives from? From the Egyptian. They was down there a long time.
Right.
If you throw from 70 to the number we're going to talk about, if you was white, you wouldn't have breaded all the white out of it. But in the meantime, while they was trying to kill everybody, somebody was born. Moses. Let's go into the second chapter of Exodus. Exodus 2 and verse 1. We're going to find something out here, sisters and brothers. See, because everybody else, you have the whole world calling somebody else us. And in order for us to find out who we are, we have to identify ourselves with the people that the world have already accepted for being what they are. There ain't nobody kicked against the Egyptian being black, but we're going to show you something. But anyway, Moses was born. 2 and 1. Go ahead and read.
And there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi.
Go ahead.
And the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink.
Now, this is Moses' mother. She hid Moses for 3 months, but everybody's looking over the fence and trying to find out who got what. She took the child and just made a little bitty boat and put him in the flags of weeds. That's at the river's edge, probably in the water. And Nile River, that's what it had to be, full of crocodiles, sister and brother. But in the meantime, the Lord had something going on. He always got him a ram in the bush. Go ahead and read.
Verse 4. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river.
Go ahead.
And her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child. And behold, the babe wept.
Go ahead.
And she had compassion on him and said, this is one of the Hebrews' children.
This is one of the Hebrews' children. She knew what was going on. She knew what her daddy was trying to do.
That's right.
But the Lord moved her. Go ahead and read. Read a little faster, too.
Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women,
Go ahead.
that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. And the maid went and called the child's mother.
Now, that just killed that Ten Commandments movie, don't it? Moses didn't know who he was until the maid come out with a Hebrew cloth. Because I can't let him be king of Egypt. Moses always knew who he was. He was raised by his mother. Only difference was he was raised under the protection of Pharaoh's daughter now. And when nobody dare kill a son of Pharaoh, a grandson of Pharaoh. Go ahead and read.
And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son.
Ain't that something? She grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. Now look, sisters and brothers, Egyptian looking like these pictures I've shown you, then you get a baby of one that calls himself a Jew nowadays. I don't care if Pharaoh was blind in both eyes, you couldn't pull that off on him. I used to get a major complaint when my grandchildren were small. They used to like to come over and sit on my knee. Everybody else can't sit on brother Boo's knee, but I didn't care. You know why? Because I'm grandpa. And grandpa loved grandchildren sitting on his knee. And I bet you many times Moses was sitting on the knee of Pharaoh. Now, how you going to get away with it if he's white and Pharaoh is black? That defies reason, don't it? Look here, you just walk in there with a white baby. Well, this is your, wait a minute now, girl. What you mean? That makes sense, don't it?
That's right.
What verse are we?
We're at the middle of 10.
Go ahead.
And she called his name Moses, and she said, Because I drew him out of the water.
So Moses was named by an Egyptian woman. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked it this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian.
Now that Moses was smart, you know. He looked around to make sure there wasn't nobody looking. Then he killed the Egyptian. But the only problem is an Israelite was looking. And you know how it is with us. We can't hold water in a sealed balloon.